Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Promise. So we would actually continue from where we stopped last week. We talked about sexual abuse. So I stopped at the part where the man was trying to open the door and I pleaded with him and thankfully he did not open the door. So it continued on and on like that. The teacher kept on molesting me tonight. See, when I got to SS2, there was this program I attended in church and they talked about sexual abuse and how to be free. So I summoned up the courage. I reported the matter to the principal, and the teacher was actually suspended. Though I expected more than a suspension, but he was just suspended. And he came back the man came back to school. He stopped molesting me, and see, I was so happy. I was so glad that the man stopped. And why am I sharing this with us? I'm sharing this with us so that someone out there who is actually going through this situation and doesn't want to speak up might have the courage and boldness to speak up. Because when you speak up, you gain freedom. But if you don't speak up, you continue to remain in bondage and you continue to go through pains and suffering. So it is time for you to speak up. Well, there are actually reasons why teenagers do not speak up. One of the reasons is that they do not want people to know about it. They just want to be quiet about it. They don't want people to know about it because it's something shameful. So they rather keep quiet about it. Another reason is fear of being punished. Some parents can be very funny because when this sort of issue arises, they sort of punish the child rather than punishing the perpetrator. They're like, oh, how long has this been? And the child is like, oh, it's been like 2 years or 3 years. And the parents now begin to sound like, 3 years and you kept quiet all this while. So obviously you're enjoying it. And they even begin to punish this child for that. So this is one reason why teenagers do not speak up. Another reason is fear of not being believed. You have not been believed because there is no evidence to back it up. It's more like you're just telling a story, but there is no evidence. There is no proof that, oh, this thing really happened or this thing actually happened. And probably you have been quiet for so long. Reason why so many would not speak out. Another one is fear of being blamed. A lot of people would blame the victim. Oh, it's because you were not dressed properly. Oh, it's because you were always around this person. You always go to visit this person. They just keep blaming the victim, which is not supposed to be. And this would make them not to talk about it. Another one is emotional pain. They do not want to talk about it because when they talk about it or think about it or even remember the incidents, it affects them. It affects their mood and it might likely take them days to get back to their real self. So they just feel that, okay, it's in the past. Let me just bury it in the past. Let me just keep it aside and not remember. They just try to move ahead. But the truth is, you cannot always pretend that all is well when it's not well. As when you speak out, you become free. You become free and the emotional pain reduces. Because they say there's this adage that says a problem shared is a problem half solved. When you share your problem, you realize that you feel this sort of relief. So keeping quiet is not the best. Understand that it's not something good to talk about, but still you need to speak out. Another reason why teenagers don't speak out is that they are ashamed. It's embarrassing. Now let's assuming they have friends around them and no and they feel that they are the only one going through that. I sort of felt that way too. I felt like I was the only one going through it. But the truth is, you're not the only one going through it. So many are going through this thing, just that they don't want to talk about it. But still, you need to speak out. This is why I'm sharing my story. This is why I'm talking to you about this. You need to speak out. And there are so many sexually abused victims around us. We don't know. To the parent out there, to the guardians out there, you have them around you, but you don't know. Well, I'll share tips on how to identify sexually abused victim or teenager around you. Number one, they are always withdrawn. They do not want to talk to people. They just want to be on their own. They don't want to relate with people. You just see them sort of isolated. They just want to be alone. These ones are probably going through sexual abuse. So that's why you need to ask questions. Don't ignore your child or your teenager. Don't ignore them when you realize that, oh, all of a sudden they are they are now withdrawn from people. They don't want to talk to you as their parents, or they don't relate to their siblings. It's not time for you to like, oh, leave her, leave him, he will come around. You need to ask questions so you know just how to help this child. And another way to identify them is that they're always fearful. They are afraid of being alone, and this is someone that used to probably like this. Maybe the child was never fearful before, then all of a sudden the child becomes fearful. So all of these are signs that could show that the child is being sexually abused. So you need to pay attention to that. Another one is avoidance of a particular person. Now, this is someone that they've been talking to or relating with very well. Then all of a sudden realize that they are avoiding this person. You need to ask questions. You need to check as a parent. And it's not time for you to push this child closer to that person. When the child is trying to avoid relating with this person, it's not time for you to push the child closer. It's time for you to ask questions. Oh dear, why are you avoiding this person? Is there something I need to know? Is there something I don't know that I need to know? So you need to ask questions. Don't all go in. Don't feel that the child is just misbehaving or just acting up or just behaving somehow. No, take your time and ask questions. Take your time and ask questions so you know just how to help this child. Another way to identify them is when they begin to ask unusual questions about sex. It's not something that they would normally ask, though they ask questions, but it's not something they would just ask you about. Then they begin to ask questions like, oh, mom, dad, is sex usually painful? Or is it usually forceful? And stuff like that. Now, don't go all, hey, so you have been watching things you're not supposed to watch, or you've been reading things you're supposed to read. No, now, just take your time, calm down, and ask the child, why are you asking this question? Even before you even ask that child that, you need to answer the question. Make them understand. Just make them understand that no, sex is not usually forceful. And it's not usually painful. You give them answers, detailed answers to this question. Then you now begin to ask, okay, why did you ask that question? And don't be all pushy. Yes, I know parents can be funny now. They can be very funny at times. Now, you just have to calm down because this child is going through a lot. So they need you to help them. And when you identify them, you have to render the needed assistance. So that's for today's video. In the next video, we will talk about how to help these sexually abused victims and ways to prevent sexual abuse. So thank you for watching today's video. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. God bless you all. See you in my next video. Bye.